Hey guys, welcome to Dag Will Fix It. We've got this HP laptop, and a common issue with these is that the hinges tend to go, and the way that these are designed is really bad. So like I've already fixed this hinge maybe a couple of months back, and now the opposite one has gone, and I'll show you what that means. So if we just flip this like this, you'll see, can you see this is pumped, this is coming out this way. Can you see that? You see the hinges literally come off the back panel, and the way that this hinge is joined to this panel is by glue. So they've glued it and it's obviously come off. So we're going to try and fix this. We're going to lift out this plastic, unpin this. So let's just, you can see if I just pin it back. I need to expose this and then get the hinge out. So give me a sec. So you can see what I've done is I've just pushed this plastic back a bit so we can actually access this hinge. And if you look, there's a couple of screws. You see the 3 screws, 1, 2, 3. We're going to open them up. We're going to get this back plate off that you see here. And we're going to glue that back to the back panel. Let it dry. There's also a screw lower down here that you basically can't see. It's along here that is snapped off. So we're going to get that fixed back as well. So let's get started. First thing is first, let's get these screws open and get this the black plate off, and then glued back to, you see those 3 dots on this panel here, they need to go back there. And then we're gonna hopefully let it dry for 24 hours and then screw this thing back together, and it should be good. So you can see the 3 screws, 1, 2, 3. They need to be opened, and then the back plate, the black one on the opposite side, will come off. And then you can see there's a screw right here as well. You see that one? Now behind it, if we look behind it, it's snapped off the plastic frame of the monitor screen or your display. So we need to unscrew this screw, get the bit that's broken off, glue it back, and then hopefully we can, once it fully dries, we can actually put this thing back together. So the flip side, you can see this is actually glued. All of this is glue that's come off, this white residue. And then down here on the back, you can see that this screw, the black plastic, is actually snapped off the back of this. And we need to get that back on and then screw this golden piece right here was actually attached to the monitor side or the display side. And that needs to be glued back and into position. Alright, so you can see the screws. I'm just basically taking these off, the 3 of them. So let's do that. So you can see this has come off the back. This needs to be then glued back onto this panel on the inside. And then once that dries, we'll actually stick the screws back in, and hopefully that should hold the frame. So this piece that you can see here, I can get into focus, is actually from the back of this screw here. These 2 need to be glued back into the display in the right positions. And then we will screw the hinge back to the display part of this laptop and then it should be back to normal. And that's exactly what we did on the opposite end maybe a couple of months back. But the laptop, that hinge was broken for maybe 4 months. So that's worn out this one as well. And the glue's basically come off, and you can see that's what the glue looks like. It's just that residue. It's really a cheap design, to be honest, and it's bound to break. So I expect this to be common with some of HP laptops that are designed like this. Okay, so this is what I'm going to be using, Gorilla Glue contact adhesive, crystal clear. This is actually like a gel, so it allows you to position the item or the thing you're gluing down, and it holds it in that position because it's quite thick. And that really makes a big difference than just standard super glue, which is quite runny. So this doesn't actually run either. It's like, if you look, it's just like just a thick gel, but it works wicked. I've fixed loads of stuff with it. So this is what we're going to be using, and we're going to position this on that display back panel right here, where those 3 dots are, the black 3 dots. I reposition this back plate on there. We need to get it in a perfect position, so you can use the original glue lines to figure out how it goes. And this flat back piece needs to be glued back like that, for the hinge to then be screwed back in. Okay, so what I've done is, if you look, I've actually glued the back plate. You can see it there. And then if you look, the hinge should line up. This metal plate should line up with that once. Obviously, we're going to let it dry, but I just want to double check it does line up. And if you see, and I don't want to move it either because I've just glued it in, but I just want to make sure it's in the right position for this. And you can see, if you look, it's pretty much bang on. So when I screw that back, once it's dried and I screw that back in, we should be back in business. The other thing I'd like to get screwed back in is that little piece that snapped off down here. And if you look, it's just down here. There's a little black plastic recess where the screw was supposed to screw into, and that kind of snapped off, so we're going to glue that back now as well. Okay, so you can see I've got this plate in position, and I've also glued, you see this right down here that has snapped, so I've glued that back in. And then the hinge, there's a screw on this side of the hinge, you can just see that there, that will go through that hole into that screw. So we're just going to let this now dry for 24 hours, and then we're going to basically try and screw this back in. Everything looks like it lines up nicely. So like if you look from here, you can see it's pretty much aligned with the holes on the brackets or the hinges itself. So we're just going to let that dry out now, and then maybe retest it tomorrow. Alright, so we've got this glued in, and you can see this pretty firm. Now the bracket's back in, it's glued into the back of this plate. And we've also repaired that one, we've glued that in. So the next job is basically to get all these wires back in for a start, and then reposition the hinge so it fits just like that. And then we're going to screw each of the screws back in and close this back up, and that should be it. Alright, so you can see I've got a couple of screws in. I've also got that one in. I'm going to put the final one in, and then we'll close this back up and we should be done. So I've closed it back up. Obviously I've bent the plastic a little, but I'll put a little glue on there just to hold it. It is what it is. Like I said, we fixed the opposite one the last time, and now this one's broke. But if you look, it closes fine and opens fine up. There you go. Thanks for watching. Sub the channel, like the video, and we'll catch you in the next one.